All right, Cam Jam Experience starting the show off with a question. This show we're going to be talking about NHL and NBA playoffs. Cameron, real quick, the Clippers lost again.
Yup.
Where will Chris Paul be? What assets can he bring to the table? Just kind of give me a Chris Paul report for next year.
Yeah, honestly, I think he's going to stay with the Clippers. I think he likes it there. I think he likes the team that they have. They haven't really been able to show what they could be because they always have injuries at the wrong times, like Blake Griffin breaking his foot.
Couldn't disagree with you anymore. Chris Paul will not be a Clipper next year. I can guarantee that. He will be gone.
Where will he go?
I think he's going to go to an East Coast team that needs a really good point guard. For example, I think he could go to Atlanta. He
Okay.
could go to Miami, a place like that. But he's definitely done with the Clippers. He's tired of this BS, that's for sure.
All right. So my question to you then is, are you surprised about Ottawa and how they're playing in the playoffs?
I am definitely surprised. I definitely didn't expect them to beat Boston in that first round. I didn't expect that to happen, and they're playing pretty good right now, Cam. I'm very surprised at Ottawa. Are you surprised at Ottawa?
I mean, I really am too because I thought for sure Boston was just going to beat up on Ottawa, but Ottawa just played amazing against Boston. They moved the puck very well, and they got some great shooters on that team.
Are they beating the Rangers?
They're up 2-0 right now,
Are they?
so
No,
I
are
think
they?
they could. Lundqvist is not playing that well.
All right. Well, that's your decision.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Cam Jam Experience. Cam Gwynn talking at you. I got my boy James Paxton with me. What's up?
What's up?
Not much, not much. So we're gonna be talking a little bit of playoffs today. We got the NHL and NBA in full swing, and we're in the second round now for the NBA. But let's talk about the NHL first. So we started the second round last week, and so far you got the Preds up 2-1 on the Blues. You got Edmonton up 2-1 on the Ducks. You got Ottawa up 2-0 on New York. Capitals are down 2-0 to Pittsburgh. That's our favorite. The Capitals are our favorite to win the cup, but it's looking more and more like Pittsburgh is just handling this Capitals team.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, it's not a surprise on how good they're playing, but when you have a guy on your team like Evgeny Malkin, who has 13 points right now in the playoffs, like that, you're not gonna do great against that guy.
Well,
He has 10 assists, Cameron. I mean,
yeah.
Evgeny Malkin has just teared up every defense he's faced. You saw it a little bit in Columbus, and you're seeing it right now in Washington. I still think Washington can win a couple games, and they have the potential to win the series. But are they going to win the series? I have no idea. It's one of those series where Pittsburgh has just beaten them on every single type of hockey: offense, defense, goalie.
So I'm going to pause you for a second. The top 4 point leaders in the playoffs right now are all from Pittsburgh.
That doesn't surprise me.
We got Evgeny Malkin at the top. Like you said, he's got 13 points, 10 assists, 3 goals. Phil Kessel has 4 goals, 7 assists. He's got 11 points. Sidney Crosby has 11 points with 4 goals and 7 assists. And Jake Guntzel has 10 points, 7 goals, 3 assists. Pittsburgh is just, they're the team right now. I don't know how you can go against Pittsburgh at the moment. Like, I love the Capitals, and I want the Capitals still, and I'm hoping that the Capitals can do something. But, dude, I'm saying Pittsburgh's got this game in 6.
Well, we said last week the winner of this series will win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
No matter if it's Washington or Pittsburgh. I'm going to go with Washington in 7, and here's why. TJ Oshie and Alex Ovechkin are playing good hockey. It's no deniability that they're playing bad hockey. They're just getting beat.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if that's fair to say, if you agree with that at all.
Oshie has 9 points, and Ovechkin has 6 points.
I mean, that's still not bad.
That's not bad, no.
I mean, I'm looking at this first game they played, and that was that they had the game tied in the third period, but Pittsburgh just scored a late goal. And in that second game, they lost by big numbers. But it's going to come down to they got to win a game at Pittsburgh, of course. That's just that has to happen.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. You got to steal one of those games. If you don't, you're done.
You're done. But they got to play better defense because it's very clear that Pittsburgh knows what they're doing. They have the 4 top points leaders.
Exactly.
And they're better than any team out there right now.
Exactly.
But the thing is you got to focus on their weaknesses. Their weaknesses are when you give them a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're clearly the best at fast breaks. You can see Crosby, you can see Kessel, you can see Malkin get stuff done in the fast break of hockey when things aren't going slow. But when you slow it down, they're not as good.
Dude, you watch some of the things that Crosby does with
Right.
the puck. There's a one play where he was about to cross the blue line and received the pass behind him. He used one hand and just tapped it through his legs and got it, split
Right.
two defenders,
Right.
and then passed it off. Like, just the awareness that this Pittsburgh team has of where their teammates are, you can tell there is a huge bond between this whole Pittsburgh team.
I mean, there's a reason they've won a lot of
Th-
cups. There's
there
a reason
is.
they won last year.
Exactly. So then let's turn the tables a little bit. Let's look at the other side of this bracket. We got Ottawa and New York. Dude, Lundqvist just is not playing as well as he usually does.
No, he is not.
He really isn't, and it doesn't help them at all that Jean-Gabriel Pageau, I think is how you say it. Pageau, I'm not sure. But he scored 4 goals last game. One to tie it and one to win in double overtime. He turned it on. And that's somebody who had a decent regular season, but man, if he keeps up what he did in that last game just by getting a couple points each game, Ottawa's going to be tough to beat too.
I don't think it's fair to say this, but when it comes to playoff hockey, there's no reason that the goal should be 6-5.
No.
You got to have some more defense in there if you expect to win.
I
these
expect
games.
3-2 when it comes to these games. I don't expect these high-scoring games, but let's be honest. When you're looking at these teams, what goalies besides Pecorine, Fleury, and Lundqvist would you say are like top dogs? None of them really. Holtby from the Capitals is not that great. Ottawa's defense is what's really keeping goals away. It's not the goalie.
Well, you say that, but I would make an argument that there could be another one.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at his stats, and he's not playing that good, which is the Blues goalie.
Yeah.
And
He is a consistently good goalie, but he doesn't have it right now.
no, he does not, and that's the problem. And you would expect him to be better.
Right.
He was good in the regular season.
He was a very good
and he
goalie.
did good in that Minnesota series.
Yes.
So I'm confused why he isn't playing as good now.
It's got to be playoff hockey is the most fun in my opinion to watch than any other playoff anything really.
I didn't say his name yet. It was Jonathan Allen.
Jonathan Allen,
Oh,
yes.
But you would expect him to be better, and he's not doing as great as he usually does.
Right.
Like, I don't expect Jonathan Allen to give up this many goals. Granted, he's playing Nashville, and Nashville is a very
Nashville's
good team.
good. Yep.
But no, I agree. Your take on the goalies is correct.
Yeah.
That you would expect them to be better.
Exactly. And I mean, all we have right now for goalies that are playing consistently great is Fleury.
Correct.
That's really the only goalie that we've seen night in, night out play his game. And he wasn't even supposed to be on the Penguins for these playoffs.
No, he's turned into a little bit of a Chris Osgood, where
Yeah.
we just use him in the playoffs.
They were trying to shop him, and now he's their savior. So I think we're good on the NHL. There's a lot going on, and I'm pretty sure we still agree that the Preds are going to beat the Blues.
Yeah,
And then-
it was going to be Nashville's going to beat the Blues.
Yep.
Edmonton's going to beat Anaheim.
Yep.
I had the Rangers.
I
winning,
had the Rangers also.
but I don't know what's going to happen
Dude, just
with that.
based off how Ottawa's playing, if Lundqvist can't come back from how he usually is, that's going to be the big issue right there. So the only thing that I can see with that is if Lundqvist is not playing like how he usually does, like these first 2 games that he's played,
Right.
Ottawa's got it. That's just how it is. And I mean, just from seeing how Pittsburgh's playing and handling the Capitals, I think I got to go with Pittsburgh as much as I don't want to.
I'm still going to go with Washington.
Yeah.
I said Washington 7.
Yep.
I said Washington 7. That's still what I'm going with my gut. I still believe, though, if Pittsburgh wins, they will win the Cup.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
It's the thing about it, which is a team that we talked about last week that I want to get into real quick, is that Edmonton has the potential to win the Cup, but the issue with that is that they need one more guy.
Yeah, I think they're too young.
You're looking at Connor McDavid. He's doing everything he can for this
Exactly.
Edmonton Oilers team. I mean, he's just an amazing player.
He is.
I lose words when I talk about Connor McDavid. and they have other players that do really good. They got Mark Lestua, and they have so many good players. But you know what there is? They're all young, like you're saying.
Exactly.
They are all young players, and it makes me think what Edmonton has the potential to do in years upcoming.
Yeah.
I mean, you really want to talk about it.
I mean
They have names that you know of, and you don't follow Edmonton hockey. You know Pat Maroon. You
Yep.
know Connor McDavid.
Yep.
I mean, they are so close, and I'm just
well,
curious.
and that's the thing.
Like, what is an asset that they need to be better? And I'm looking at this, and they just don't have a great goalie, like you were saying. They
Exactly.
lost 6-3 the other night
Exactly.
against Anaheim.
So
you
you know
can't
what?
give up 6 goals in the playoffs.
You know what? Hey, if Pittsburgh is still trying to shop,
You read my
Yeah.
mind,
Pick 'em
Cameron
up.
Quinn. I was gonna say send Florida to Edmonton because I know they'll send a couple people
if
for
they
that.
dude, if they do that, I'd say they're the favorites.
I like this team so much. I love watching this team so much. It makes me excited to watch hockey again after the terrible years that the Red Wings played. Being a Wings fan, it makes me excited to watch hockey. It's just this Edmonton team is so close and they're so good at offense. They're just not quite there at defense. They have good
Yes.
defenders, but they're not quite there at defense.
That's exactly
and they
what it
don't
is.
have an amazing goalie. Is the problem? They don't.
They don't. That's what it boils down to, honestly. And that's the same story for the Leafs. Also, they're a young team who doesn't really have the defensive aspect of things. So
I mean,
honestly,
tell about the other night. He saved 22. He
Right.
had 22 saves on 28 attempts. That's a save percentage of .786. That
that's
is
not good enough.
That's not playoff
That's
hockey.
not good enough. You need to have that in at least the 90s.
So
At
how
least.
I mean, they are up 2-1 in the series. I
Right.
don't want to make that
Well,
the
yeah.
big story. It's just I see Edmonton having the potential, even though I picked the Predators to go to the Stanley Cup, to beat Nashville and go to the Stanley Cup and have a chance to win this thing. Once you're in the cup, you have a chance.
Exactly.
But this goalie play is really
it's all on McDavid.
yeah.
It's all on McDavid. That's what it boils down to.
Right.
So let's turn the tables a little bit. Let's go to the NBA playoffs. Second round gets underway tonight, I believe, right?
Well, yesterday.
And yesterday it started, but the rest of the second round.
Yes.
So Boston is already up 1-0, and then we've got Golden State versus the Utah Jazz.
They don't play till tomorrow.
They play tomorrow.
Tuesday. They start Tuesday, and
Houston,
and
San Antonio
start
tonight.
and Cleveland and Toronto start tonight.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. So, real quick question to you:
Yes.
who is the one team? Let's not talk about the Golden State Warriors and Utah series.
I don't want to.
Or the Cleveland and Toronto series. Let's talk about one of the other 4 teams that has the potential to just drive away in this series. Just do amazing work in this series.
Washington.
Washington, it would be a good pick.
I think Washington because, I mean, John Wall is playing out of his mind. He is playing so good right now. He has 197 points so far this playoffs, and then he also has 78 assists. I'll repeat that, 78 assists. The closest person to him has 69 assists. He almost has double digits more assists than the second person. So John Wall is playing amazing, and so is Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal is playing great also. He has 182 points, and he also has, let me find it real quick, he has 15 steals. It's pretty good. That backcourt is awesome. That is a team that, quite honestly, I think they might be able to put Cleveland in a weird spot.
Well, they got to get past Boston first.
Yes, they do
They're
have to get
They're
past.
down 1-0, and I said they would beat Boston a couple weeks ago, and I still think they have the potential to beat Boston. But Isaiah Thomas is playing better than he did at the beginning of these playoffs.
Oh,
It looked like Chicago was going to run away with that series, but they ended up not doing that.
so let me ask you a quick question then about the Chicago-Boston series. Do you think it would have made a difference if Rondo was in?
Absolutely, 100%. Chicago would have won the series if Rondo was won.
Okay.
You look at the stats, and you look at how Rajon Rondo,
It's up to interpretation.
Rondo, the point guard, of Chicago, played, and he played with so much intensity.
Oh, he did.
I love watching him play.
He did.
And he played like the Boston Celtics Rondo.
Yes.
Like, he didn't do any of that in Sacramento.
No,
when he
he
was
did
playing
not.
with DeMarcus Cousins.
No.
And I look at his ability to control that series. They would have won, in my opinion, if Rondo played.
Okay.
Do you agree with that or no?
I think it would have went to a game 7 for sure, but it's hard to tell, man. Based off how Isaiah Thomas was playing toward the last few games of the series, it's tough. But I do agree Rondo was playing crazy good.
I look at that second game where Jimmy Butler had 22 points.
Mm-hmm.
Rondo had 14 assists. Okay. When you have 14 assists in an NBA game, that means you are finding the open man.
Exactly.
You are finding people to score. You're finding every opportunity to make your team better. I mean, just do the math on that real quick. They had 111 points, and he had 14 assists. He was responsible for over a third of those points when you look at his numbers.
And he wasn't scoring either.
He wasn't scoring as much, no. He didn't have a big amount of points. He ended the game with 11 points. But 9 rebounds, 11 points, 14 assists. I loved those numbers. He played 40 minutes, Cam.
Those are good point guard stats.
They are. And I look at his numbers, and I would have thought the Bulls would have beaten Boston if he was not injured, which makes me think, and I never liked this Chicago team. I never thought it was going to work. How do you think Chicago will play next year?
I don't know, dude.
Better.
I think
better.
I don't
They will
know.
Be better.
I don't know.
Well,
I think Wade is going to take a step back. He's not.
I'm not worried about Dwayne Wade.
So you're more focused on Butler and Rondo picking up the slack.
Here's what I look at. I look at 3 things. I look at Jimmy Butler, I look at Rondo, and I look at one of these bench players to step up and be a better starter. It could be Valentine.
Ooh.
It could be Michael Carter-Williams. It could be Grant. It could be Zipser. Who knows?
Right.
But I look at one of these bench players to get a little bit better and become one of the best starters. And the free agents this year in basketball will be amazing. They got to go get somebody good. Who knows? That could be where Chris Paul ends up. I said they were looking for a good point guard. Rondo could be the shooting guard. Chris Paul could be the shooting guard.
That wouldn't work.
You don't like that?
That would not work. Rondo would not have that whatsoever. I think that was...
Then another idea. Go get Gordon Hayward in Utah.
I don't know if anyone from Utah would want to leave, though.
That's a conversation you and I had off air a couple weeks ago. Who would want to leave Utah? Well, they have a good team, and that's a good transition to Utah. They're versing Golden State right now. They're the number 5 seed, and they just beat the Clippers. Before we get on a Clippers conversation right now, Utah did play really good.
They did. They're a good team. They're just a solid team with a bunch of hard workers. Like, everybody on that team, when you look at what the team has, can you name just a crazy superstar off the team? No,
not really.
You can't because there isn't.
Hayward's the clear leader.
Hayward is, yes, but he's not a superstar.
I wouldn't say he's a superstar.
He's a star for sure. There's no doubt about that. But he's not a superstar. They don't have a superstar on this team.
You know what I like about Utah?
What?
Gordon Hayward was 6 for 6 when it came to free throw shooting yesterday.
Okay.
Do you see the Jazz miss a lot of free throws?
No, they are a pretty solid free throw shooting team now that you mention it.
They are.
And that's what keeps them in the most games.
I like teams that are good at free throw shooting. I do. They have good people.
They do.
Gordon Hayward is a good player.
Yeah.
I understand your argument that he wouldn't want to leave Utah. If they keep the same core guys, Joe Johnson from the bench, Gordon Hayward, Hill, Diaw, you keep those guys next year, they have the potential to be a lot better.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that because I don't think Houston's going to come back and be the same team. I don't think James Harden can make Houston and come back and be the same team. San Antonio, maybe not next year, is going to eventually fall. I'm not going to say fall out of the playoffs, but they're going to be a 5 or 6 seed. And so they could move up to a 2 or 3 seed. And we've talked about this before, which is why I'm not as big of an NBA guy as other people, and it's just Golden State versus Cleveland right now. I picked Cleveland and San Antonio to be in the finals right now, but still, the league is controlled by Golden State and Cleveland, which is why I'm not happy that trade happened with Durant, because the team pretty much controls everything.
Exactly. That's what I'm so confused about. Do you remember when Chris Paul, before he left to go to the Clippers, he was going to the Lakers, and the NBA shut him down, saying that, no, you can't go to the Lakers. Why couldn't the NBA step in with Golden State and say, no, Durant, you can't go there?
You know, it's something I don't really understand, because when you look at the trades, they're not very much different.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
are they?
No, there isn't.
Here was the trade when it came down to it. It was the New Orleans Hornets had agreed to send Paul to the Lakers.
Yep.
For a 3-team deal that involved the Houston Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Paul would have been on the same team with Kobe Bryant.
Yes.
That's basically all you need to know.
Yeah.
What's the difference between Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant
And
and
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green?
Dude, like
I have
You
6
can't-
fingers up. I have 4 with Golden State, and I have 2 with the
Exactly.
Clippers. That's how simple this trade is to me.
Exactly.
They should have let him do it.
Exactly.
One, because you don't know if Paul or Bryant.
Can play together.
Right.
I'm gonna assume they could,
You never know.
but you never know
Right.
because of the mentality of both those players. Chris Paul's used to having the ball on pretty much every possession, and so was Kobe Bryant.
I mean, there was more with that trade,
Right.
but the main part was Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant.
right.
And
the
this
league
Kevin
was
this-
scared of that.
This Kevin Durant thing makes more sense to me to not happen because he was with the Thunder, who was a 3 seed that made it to the Western Conference Finals and went to Game 7 against the Warriors. Chris Paul was on the Hornets, who, to my knowledge, didn't make the playoffs, which I'm going to look up right now. But and
If
then
they did, they didn't get past the first round.
it's okay.
I totally get what you're saying, but like
it makes no sense to me.
it doesn't make any sense to me either. What if I'm Durant? I don't know why leave when you got you and Westbrook together. It
I
seems
understood.
like
He didn't want to play with Westbrook anymore.
Yeah.
It's that argument I've made for a while. He
Yeah,
did
I
not
just-
want to play with Westbrook anymore. That's the only thing you need to know.
right. So, and I've mentioned this before, and you totally shot it down, saying that it would be terrible.
What's that?
But what if OKC still had the big three with Durant, Harden, and
Yes,
Westbrook?
I don't think they could have played the same. That's
Right.
why they're on different teams. I don't think Harden could have played the same as Russell Westbrook. I don't think Durant could have played the same with James Harden. I don't think the team would have gelled and make a lot of sense anymore. You're looking at it, Harden and Westbrook can't put up the same numbers around the same team. And they pretty much carried their teams. Yes,
Right.
my argument is Westbrook deserves the MVP because Harden's team has had a lot of help, but I don't see that working. I don't like superstar teams because most of the time they don't work. Yeah, Miami, Cleveland, Golden State. That's the 3 good ones.
Right. It's because of really one player,
Correct.
LeBron James.
Right.
So
You the New Orleans Hornets, when Chris Paul was on the team, they made the playoffs twice and lost in the first round both times.
Yep.
So that's why this trade never made sense. It's always a good point that you bring up. Why veto that one and not veto this one?
I don't get it. I personally do not understand that. But here's another stat that I wanted to bring to just everyone's attention right now. The reason why Russell Westbrook should win the MVP, and you said it just now, is because of the lack of talent that he has around him and how far he actually got this OKC team to go. If you look at the stats for the top 50 players in the NBA, you find one OKC player, and that's Westbrook. No other OKC player. And if you look for Houston, you got James Harden, you got Lou Williams, who was a great pickup for them. That was a great pickup. And then you got Patrick Beverly. There's Nene. There's a lot. So, I mean, Houston is a good team without just Harden, but they're going up against the Spurs and Kawhi Leonard, who has 187 points. He is in second place for points in the playoffs right now. And he has 45 less minutes than John Wall does, and he's only 10 points behind him.
It's unbelievable. It is. We've talked about teams that have really shown us differences.
Right.
And San Antonio is one of those teams because we don't talk about a lot of their players.
No.
Because there's no reason to. But there's starting to be reasons we need to talk about players.
Yeah.
I mean,
Who you want to talk about?
I want to talk about Danny Green.
I like Danny Green.
It's
I like Danny Green.
I never wanted to
he
talk
is-
about Danny Green.
Because he's that player that just shows up in the playoffs. He's that player that has like a pretty decent season through the regular season, and then in the playoffs, he's just like, "What's up, yo?"
There were 2 players on San Antonio I wanted to talk about. One was Danny Green.
Yep.
The other was Paul Gasol.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me why this team works. You never understand San Antonio. You can't.
No, you can't.
Can you physically understand San Antonio
Until-
when they had Ginobili, Tim Duncan, Tony
Until-
Parker? It doesn't make sense.
Until you can get into Popovich's head, you have no idea how this team is successful. No idea.
I mean, it took a press conference full of yelling and slamming to get Memphis to win 2 games against San Antonio.
Yeah.
Just barely.
Take that for data.
Take that for data. I mean, you look at this team. I love this San Antonio team, which is why I said, and I've said this before. Actually, I haven't said this yet. They're my pick to win the championship this year. They will beat LeBron James and the Cavaliers. I can tell you right now they're going to beat Golden State because Golden State doesn't have the players that these guys have. Yes, Golden State has superstars, but they don't have hard-working players. They don't have LaMarcus Aldridge. They don't have Kawhi Leonard. They don't have Tony Parker. They don't have Danny Green. They don't have Paul Gasol. They don't have Mills. They don't have Ginobili.
They have skilled players.
That's so many playoff experience players.
Golden State has skilled players, but not hard workers like the Spurs have.
Let me tell you this, and this is just completely hypotheticals real quick before we go into our predictions and on the show.
I hope you're going to say what I was going to say.
I don't know, but would you rather have Kawhi Leonard or Draymond Green? Would you rather have LaMarcus Aldridge or Klay Thompson?
I'd rather have Klay Thompson over Aldridge, but I would rather have Kawhi over Green.
That's the differences.
Yeah.
It's hardworking players against superstars.
Exactly.
It's put it back and shoot it instead of go for the defensive rebound.
Exactly.
What were you going to ask?
I was going to ask you if your prediction is correct with San Antonio winning. Is that right there, that finals with San Antonio, Kawhi Leonard being one of the best two-way players right now, is that LeBron handing the torch to Kawhi and saying, here you go?
It's got to be something like that. Cam, this really means a lot to me because I need the NBA back. People like me need the NBA back because San Antonio needs to win to get out of this Cleveland Golden State thing. I don't like the Cleveland Golden State thing. I don't know if people do, but I know most people get
I'm
hyped
sure if you're
for
in
it.
California and Ohio, you absolutely love it, but we're in Michigan.
Just a
and
quick
it's
example.
Terrible.
I'm at my warehouse, and we were talking about this in the summer. I'm at my other job, and they always got to say, this one guy said it, and he was completely right. Well, who's your team, Cleveland or Golden State? I don't want to pick between those two teams.
No, you don't.
They aren't my teams. They aren't teams I like. They're full of superstars or people who don't play the game of basketball that I like. San Antonio plays the game of basketball that I like.
Yeah.
The defense first, be better than your opponent. Don't talk that much, but when you have to talk, say it. The creative mindset of Greg Popovich, you have these playoff capable players that deserve every single bit of it. Kawhi Leonard never gets talked about because he's not Steph Curry or LeBron James. That's why I think San Antonio needs to win. After all, do you want to keep seeing Cleveland and Golden State? That's boring.
You don't.
You didn't want to keep seeing Boston and the Lakers in the 80s. People say they did, but do you really think people kept wanting to see Magic versus Bird?
Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
After the
it
third
probably
time,
was
it's
interesting.
fine.
Exactly. Probably
This year,
interesting the
if
first
it's
3
Golden
times.
State and Cleveland again, and how about this? If Golden State wins, it's going to be Golden State and Cleveland again. Because Cleveland's going to come back.
Yeah.
That's why I'm picking San Antonio to win. Let's go to our predictions. Cameron Gwynn, go.
Western Conference, we probably both agree Golden State and San Antonio, and then Eastern Conference, I got Washington and Cleveland.
Okay, I have Cleveland beating Toronto 4-2 in a 6-game series. I have Washington beating Boston 4-3 in a 7-game series. I have Golden State beating Utah 4-1 in a 5-game series. I have San Antonio beating Houston 4-2 in a 6-game series. Then we go to the finals. I have San Antonio beating the Golden State Warriors in a 7-game series. They will win. They will go to the finals. San Antonio will be in the finals. I cannot stress this enough. It may be one of the most craziest takes I've done in my life, but San Antonio will beat the Golden State Warriors. Then I have Cleveland beating the Washington Wizards in a 6-game series, 4-2. And then I have the San Antonio Spurs beating the Cleveland Cavaliers in a 7-game series, and they will be this year's NBA playoff champions.
I just think Golden State has too much skill over San Antonio, and they got the home court, so I don't see a reason to pick against Golden State, really, other than the fact that San Antonio is going to work hard. I'd say that's a 7-game series. Golden State goes on. Cleveland goes on. That's a 7-game series, and I couldn't tell you. That's a toss.
No, it's not a toss. You say it.
Okay, Golden State.
There we go.
Golden State wins.
So here's if since we disagree on this so much, we'll do one of our old-fashioned bets. We'll do a T-shirt bet. If San Antonio beats Golden State and goes to the finals, you owe me a San Antonio Spurs finals T-shirt. If Golden State does it, I owe you a Golden State finals T-shirt.
How about this? I'll get you a Kawhi Leonard jersey T-shirt. That's all the time we got today. Thank you guys for listening, and be sure to check out our next podcast that we're going to be doing. We got NFL Draft Talk coming up next. Thank you.